I've not even practiced this presentation. I've done it before, so it will probably be as awful as my first sexual experience. So I'm going to tell this story, I suppose, through my parenting and the different layers that I've tried to do with my daughters to empower them as young women that will grow into sexual beings and not be ashamed of that, not be scared. And it all was based in sexual consent for me, because of negative experiences I had as a teenager where I felt I didn't have a negotiated sexual experience, and I didn't want my daughters to experience that. So I decided throughout their whole life to never wait for this idea of a big talk around sex, that I would talk about it consistently and constantly, and it would just be something normal, and it wouldn't be a birds and the bees discussion that just happens either at home or within the school. So we've talked a lot. My younger daughter now just sits and listens to the conversations, but my older daughter, who was the pilot for my idea of sex parenting, sex positive parenting, she now is an artist, and she has kind of really pushed me in terms of my own thinking around body shame and body image and how that's attached to sex and what we've been taught in school and through Catholicism. And you'll see her drawings come up in a few minutes where she was drawing all these images, and I was actually on the bus going to work, and I would open up an Instagram and there would be just, this picture, a sketch of like a penis and stuff, and I was like panicked to bits on the bus going, what is she doing, what's she drawing? But it was all part of her exploring her own body and what she might think of the male body and trying to get comfortable with that. And she got a scholarship in NCAD based on some of these drawings that she do, which were, some of them are really graphic but quite scary for me, and pushed me out of my own comfort zone in terms of, just the image I suppose that she was drawing. So that's one of them. But so she started having conversations with me then, which made me have to go away and think about talking to her as sex about also being about pleasure, and not only about, when they first ask you a question and they say, like, they ask you a question about sex and you say, oh, it's when two people love each other and they have a baby, and you make it about procreation, and I had to kind of go away and say, that's not the case. And it was actually through her drawings, which were quite graphic, that pushed me away from talking about sex as that. And I mean, when we look at STDs and stuff and that whole negative message that we provide to our children when they ask about sex, the first thing we say is, oh, you'll catch STIs, you'll get pregnant, and it's nothing but a negative message that we send to our children about sex. So my parenting, I suppose, came from trying to turn that into positive sexual stories, and knowing that after that will then lead on to the fact that consent will automatically be negotiated then, because they already feel empowered by it and they're already very aware of it. So even though we do have, I suppose, conversations about contraception and about all those things, it's not the primary element of our conversation. So I suppose in the Senate, one of the things that I've been looking at for a while now is looking at how sex is portrayed in schools in terms of sex education, and then also how it's portrayed on social media. And that's where our children are getting their idea of what it is to have sex. It's either in school, it's based with Catholicism, or it's on social media. So I want to look at, I suppose, repackaging, not showing them images, I suppose, in schools, but looking at how sex ed is actually done in schools, and can we change that. And there's one school actually in Dublin doing it at the minute, and it's around sex positivity, and it's around negotiating sexual experience, and not about them videos that we used to see in the 80s and 90s in schools. So that's it. Thank you.